Hi guys, this is going to be a quick video on how I make my master watch list. There are basically three criteria for any stock to make it onto my master watch list. It should break a recent range, it should be starting a new trend, and it should have a strong catalyst. Now, when do the names come off the watch list? It's when they break below the 50 MA. So these are just the super simple criteria that I use. Now I'm going to show you a few examples of stocks that I'm currently holding in my IRA account, all of which meet these criteria. And then I'm going to take you through a live scan where I'm going to run the scan for the day and a bunch of names are going to show up. And from those names, I'm going to pick just the ones that meet these criteria and add them to my master watch list. So this is just my trading view, and this is a list of all the names that are currently in my IRA account. I just decided to pick this list as an example because it's real trades, it's real money, it's live examples, and it's all recent names that I'm sure you've all been tracking as well. So a firm is something that I added a little bit on this day, but just in my IRA and not my trading account. So I wasn't too happy about that. The reason I added it here was because it broke this recent range. So check for the range criteria. It was a new recent uptrend. So you can look at the stock. It's been beaten down, the IPO just rounding out and then starting a new uptrend. So check on that criteria. And it had very strong positive news. So the news this day was that the online shopping data from Black Friday had come out. It was much stronger than expected, and this stock had a short interest of 35%. So it just took off because of all the shots that I had to cover. So since it met all those three criteria, range break, new uptrend, and strong catalyst, I added it. Let's look at Dash. Similar story here. Similar chart to a firm. IPO stock that's been beating down, rounding the base, and when it broke out here, it broke this recent range. Now, granted, it did not take this level out, which I was hoping it would. So I did take a slightly smaller position and then add here a second position. But the catalyst in this case was also really strong. It had a really good earnings report, and it was the start of a fresh trend. And the fact that it was an IPO was just added juice to this move. So that's the reason I took it. Now, PDD, here's another example. You might say, okay, this is definitely breaking this trend. Like if you draw this trend line around 110, it's taken that out convincingly. But you might say, is this really a fresh trend? And the reason I thought it was two reasons. So one, this is an IPO as well. So it's really not made much of its move yet. And it's still within this large base. Something like this here on this day is not what I would consider a new trend, since it's broken out of this base a long time ago and then gone up for quite a while. But in this case, it's still within the large base. So I do consider this a fresh trend. And the catalyst in this case was one of the strongest. So for those of you who don't know, PDD is the parent company of Temu, which is a new shopping app that's gone super viral and popular in the US. I am almost embarrassed to admit that I use it every day. And almost half my shopping from Amazon is now replaced by Temu. And that's the retail data from Temu was really, really strong. And that gave, I think, a 40% boost to its earnings, if I'm not mistaken. You can check the numbers to get the exact details. I don't remember. But it did. So in my books, it did meet all the three criteria of range break from this 110 level, super strong catalyst, new product, real product, mass market product, replacement for Amazon, and a recent trend. Now, Workday, another stock that I took here. This one broke again, was similar to PDD, was part of this base, but it took out this recent high, which was really nice, almost to the penny. And similar numbers, very strong results that came out. And the start of a new uptrend, it's still within the base, so I could easily see it break that base and go much, much, much higher in the coming quarters. ESTC, clearly you can see the break here from the $100 mark. This was almost 2-year base that it broke out of. Definitely a fresh uptrend since it had been going almost nowhere for the last couple of years. And very strong volume, very strong results. 50% surprise. That's huge. A whole bunch of brokerage upgrades. And yeah, that's another criteria that I like seeing as a catalyst. Usually when these earnings and news items come out, they are followed by a whole bunch of brokerage upgrades, and that just adds more buying power to the move. Now, PATH, very similar to ESTC, going nowhere for 2 years. IPO base just completely beaten down, going sideways. Finally took out this level, $20. So check, and then $22 as well. Absolutely new fresh trend and very strong catalyst in terms of very strong earnings, 72% surprise. And that's not even peak, that's just surprise. And a whole bunch of brokerage upgrades as well. IoT, very similar. So this broke out of the $30 level, new all-time highs, recent IPO. Look at this clear range break. Fresh uptrend. Again, you might say, oh, but it's already been going up from $9. How is this a fresh uptrend? Simply because it just broke out of this base for the first time. So I do consider this the right side of the base, not an uptrend. Say that the stock had been just this. Say this was where the stock had IPO'd. Then, yes, this is a old uptrend. But you could argue that this is the break of a new base as well. But yeah, at least then there would be an argument for this being an old uptrend. But since this is the whole base, I consider this the first leg of a new uptrend. Again, really strong, stellar earnings. Look at these numbers, like 430% surprise. It was insane. And also, all of these stocks are in the really hot groups. AI, cybersecurity, e-com, which are all the ones that are running right now. So that just gives me added confidence to add them to my master watch list. And the last is GitLab, again, super similar setup to ESTC and PATH. It just broke out of this $55 level. Crazy volume here. Definitely deserved making it on my watch list. This is likely going to start a new uptrend here. And the news as well. Wow, look at the beat on this. It was about 1,300% of a surprise. I mean, the number, everything just works in all of these, right? All those 3 criteria are met. So hopefully this gives you a good practical example of what I mean by those 3 criteria being met and how I'm actually implementing this in my trading every day. So this is just how names get added to my watch list. Now, some of these I take on day 1, some of these I add to after 3 or 5 days, some of these I add to after 15 or 20 days, and I'll go through all of that in my next video where I talk about how I build my daily watch list. But in this one, I just wanted to give you a sense of what names actually get added to my master watch list, which names are worth seeing for me or worth trading for me even. So now what I'm going to do is actually run the scan, show you what names pop up. And I went through the parameters of the scan, in a video before this. So if you haven't seen that, please go through it. And then do the live scanning in front of you and show you how any names from the scan make it to my master watch list, if at all. Now, I already have an existing master watch list where I have all the longs and shorts that I'm interested in looking at. And these are mainly a list of all the hot stocks in the market right now from all the hottest groups. So these are just the indices. These are the Magnificent Seven, the 7 mega caps, all the AI stocks, the semi stocks, the cybersecurity stocks, the consumer discretionary, crypto, and gold that just recently started running, builders and banks that just popped last week, and a bunch of candidates for short squeezes, and a few shorts that I'm looking at. So let's go through the longs scan first. And the long scan today has given out 12 names. What I'm going to do is first copy all of these to the cyan flag. just so that I can see them all here and close the screener, and that allows me to see the chart much bigger and better. Uh, I don't know how to put this screener on the side. If there is a way, can someone please tell me in the comments below, because it's very difficult to keep the screener here and scan at the same time. So this is just a shortcut that I figured out. Let's start from the beginning, and I look for 3 criteria to be met for any of these stocks to be added to the master watch list. A, it has to break out of the recent range. So in this case, it would have to go above this level, which this stock is not doing. B, it would have to have a very strong catalyst that's creating that spike. So some sort of positive news. And the third would be that it has to be a fresh trend. So in this case, that would be true because the stock has not been in an uptrend for a while. But since one of the criteria is not met, which is that the range is not broken, this is not going on my master watch list. GTLB is the second one, and this is really interesting. I've been looking at this since the pre-market this morning, and I've tweeted about it a couple of times as well. So this certainly did break this recent range. So it gapped up above all of these, and in fact closed above this recent high too. So it's made a new high since 2022, and it did have a very strong catalyst. So I tweeted about this in the morning. The earnings for this were just spectacular. It did a beat on the bottom line, top line, and raised guidance on the bottom line, top line. And it had a whole bunch of upgrades from brokerages, which is very positive. You can go through the news here in this section. And this is another reason that I love TradingView. So I don't have to keep going back to Finviz to check the news. I can just do all of my scanning here. So it meets that criteria as well. And it is a new trend because this is an IPO, which again is a very big positive, which was in a downtrend, then in a sideways trend, and is now starting an uptrend. So this stock meets all my 3 criteria, and this is just going to be added to my master watch list. And the reason it's also in my IRAs because I took a position in my IRAs in this in the morning. That's just some position trading that I do, which I don't want to get into the details of right now because it's just going to confuse everyone. Let's go through the rest of the stocks here. So VKTX, this one is a biotech, and as a rule, I just don't trade any biotechs. The reason for that is they have a huge risk of gap downs of 30, 50, even 80% sometimes if one of their drug trials fails. And this is just not risk that I'm comfortable taking. And I don't find the need to either because there's so much opportunity in the US market. There's just so many names you can take. There's no need to subject my portfolio to any of that. But if you have the stomach for it and you trade biotechs, maybe you could delve deeper into all of the biotech stocks here. I'm just going to skip these. So the next name, HUT, this is not breaking any range, no interest here. CERE, no interest here either. This has been, this is a biotech, so no, thank you. Next. AGRO, now this one is potentially interesting. I have never heard of this name before, and whenever that is the case, I look at this number, which is the average dollar traded volume, and that's 10 million, which means that it's only had a turnover of 10 million today, which is too less, at least for my account, because it's a 7-digit account. And I need at least an ADT of 100 mil for me to consider trading that stock. So this is a hard pass. But if this meets your criteria for liquidity, then you can go through that using the same criteria. ALE, the same issue, ADT. And I don't know of any way to scan for ADT in TradingView, but if any of you do, please let me know. SIG is the next one, Signet Jewelers. This is also really low liquidity, so I'm going to pass on this. SRRK. Again, super low liquidity, MLTX. And sometimes TradingView just gets really laggy. I don't know what the solution for that is. But that's usually not the case. MLTX, biotech, plus low liquidity, so a hard pass. GCT, super low liquidity, and ALKT, the last one on the list. Let's see. Yeah, again, low liquidity. So these were all the names that showed up on the long scan. And from this, the only one that was interesting enough to go on my master watch list was GTLP. Now let's take a look at the short scan. So this is the short scan, and I shared the parameters with you in the previous video. So please go through that if you haven't already. I'm just going to clear this list and add all of these names onto the cyan list and close the screener so the chart can be bigger. And the criteria that I'm looking at on the short side is exactly the same. I want it to be a fresh, maybe just closing this might make it faster. So I'm just going to close this. Yeah, I think that was the reason it was lagging. The criteria on the short side is exactly the same. So it should be a fresh downtrend. So this one would not be a fresh downtrend because this stock has already been trending downwards for about 2 years now. And it should have a very strong news catalyst. And it should be breaking out of recent range, breaking down from recent range. So it's been a very strong market. So I haven't found many shorts to add to my master watch list. In fact, I just have 2. And I'm not, I mean, the odds are that I'm not going to find anything today either. But I still do my scanning every day, just out of habit. And it's good to build that procedural memory. In this case, this one might have been a potential candidate, but this is too illiquid for me, and it's a biotech, and I would never short a biotech, never ever, and definitely not such an illiquid one, because it can literally wreck you if it gaps up 100%, 200%, 300%, which does happen if their drug suddenly gets approved. ATT, no clue what this is. Most likely the stocks that I've never heard of are just really low liquidity stocks like this one. Yeah. Spock as well sounds, yep, just trades 3 million. So nothing to add on the short scan today. But this is essentially the quick 15-minute process that I go through, where I just go through both of these scans, the longs and the shorts, and just add any names that are really, really, really good to my master watch list. In the next video, I'm going to take you through my master watch list and show you how I prepare my plan for the next day, how I narrow this master watch list down to just 2 to 3 names that I'm going to look at the following day and most likely trade. Thank you.